Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I am working with the December Faith Art Box from Creative Retreat Kits. Here's a look at everything that comes in the kit this month. You get this stamp set, this great devotional card. All the items are designed and written by Ellie from the team here. You've got this sheet of cardstock stickers, and I like to take some Nuvo drops in Morning Dew and cover all of the hearts with them. It does take about a day to dry, but so as soon as I get the kit, I just set those out and get those taken care of. And then you do get some really awesome hexagon-shaped alphabets this month, and then these two bow clippies. So I'm going to be working on a piece of cardstock today and then adhering that into my page. This is a great way to cover up bleed through if you have bleed through. I wanted to use some distress oxide inks which have a tendency to bleed, so I'm going to work on separate cardstock today. So I've got my stamp positioning tool. You don't need this. You could use an acrylic block to stamp everything. I just find that it's nice to be able to line up all of my stamps ahead of time and make sure I have all the spacing right, and then I can just stamp it down. And then if I don't get a good impression, I can re-stamp it and know that it's in the perfect place every time. So I'm going to be doing some heat embossing. So I went ahead and applied my EK Success powder tool to this piece of cardstock first, just to take away any static or fingerprints. And then I'm inking up the stamps using Versamark clear ink. This is a clear sticky ink for embossing. So of course you can't see my stamping. And just to make sure that I had really good impressions, because these are brand new stamps and I had several stamps on here, I went ahead and inked up and stamped a second time just to make sure that it was good and inked. And that is one nice thing about using the stamp positioning tool. So I can go ahead and take that out, and I'm going to apply some embossing powder. I'm using some Ranger Liquid Platinum. I love the color. This has got to be hands down my favorite embossing powder. It's like an antique gold color, kind of. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's really, really pretty. So once I apply that, you can see now where the stamping is. So I'll go ahead and heat that up with my heat tool. That's what melts the embossing powder, so you want to make sure that it's fully melted. This does not work with a hair dryer. You do need something like a heat tool. And it just takes a minute or so to completely melt that. And then I'm going to actually go over this with some Distress Oxide inks. These are new to me and I've been loving how they blend. So I'm using some Wilted Violet. This is a purple that really matches the purple in the kit this month. And so I'll go ahead and just ink up this piece. And I stamped out His Great and Steadfast Love Endures Forever. And I am working in Psalm 118 verses 1 all the way down to 4. And these were some verses talked about in the devotional card. I'm loving that we have those included every month now, just to kind of help guide you to areas to study and to work with the kits. And so, of course, you can use the kit contents wherever you want in your Bible journaling, but it's kind of nice to have that structure. So I'm finishing up inking this up. You can see I kind of did an ombre blend, so it's a little bit lighter to the bottom. And then I'm just taking a dry paper towel to buff off any of the ink that's on the embossing. And that way it's just really good and shiny and stands out against that purple background. Love, love, love it. And I made sure to do all my stamping towards the top of this piece. That way I leave some room at the bottom for my journaling for this entry. I went ahead and took my Distress sprayer. This is just plain water, and spray it over the little panel here. Distress Oxide inks react in a really unique way with water, and so you can see it oxidizes basically. So you get this really lightened effect, and the texture almost looks different. I don't know, it's really neat how that works with the water. And I couldn't really do that in my Bible. It would bleed through on my Bible page. I decided to go ahead and stamp some of these wonky hearts. I could have stamped and embossed these with the embossing powder, but I wanted them to be slightly different than the stamping that I already had done, so I wanted some different textures. So I'm actually going to stamp and do some foiling. So what I've done is I've squirted out a little bit of my Tombow Mono Multi Liquid Glue. This is a glue that dries sticky. and I've just kind of tapped the stamp into that glue until you have an even amount of the glue, not too much, just an even coating of glue on that stamp, and then I'll go ahead and stamp that down to the panel. I'm going to stamp this in several different places. I love that we have the little wonky hearts included in the stamp set this month. I know those have been a fan favorite and a team favorite to have the hearts on the sticker sheets, so it's fun to have a stamp so you can stamp them in whatever color that you want or need for your entries. So it's kind of hard to see because that glue isn't super dark or anything like that, but I'm just going to go around and just stamp these in some various places, again leaving myself some room there. I went ahead and set that out, or set it aside to completely dry, because I don't want it wet, but it does dry to a sticky finish. And then I have some Deco foil in, I think this is rose gold, and I can go ahead and just lay this over the glued areas and just kind of burnish it with my finger. And this foil is going to stick to anywhere that's sticky. So anywhere where that stamped glue is, this foil is going to stick to it. You do want to apply it with the shiny side facing up, and just rub it really good. And you can see it's just a slightly different color than what the embossing powder was, and a different texture. So I didn't want it just to look all uniform and the same. I wanted some different depth and texture on this piece, and that's why I chose to do this. And you all seem to really love foiling, and so I thought I'd bring it in and show you a way to do that with your stamps. So just finishing up there. And you can just save this piece for your next project. There's some left over there. You get plenty of use out of what's in that container, and so reflective. I'm going back over it with my EK Success powder tool, and this is going to cover up any stickiness that might be left behind. There's basically cornstarch or baby powder in that tool, so you could just use that on its own and brush it over those areas, and that's going to cover any stickiness that might have been left behind. That way my pages don't stick together. Just going to use that liquid glue to attach this piece onto the page here. And again, those verses are in Psalms 118, verses 1 through 4. And it says, "Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. Let Israel say, his steadfast love endures forever. Let the house of Aaron say, his steadfast love endures forever. Let those who fear the Lord say, his steadfast love endures forever." And so I just did some journaling later on here. It says, "Thank you for always chasing me with your perfect love." And I just really like that we're focusing on God's love for us, and just how perfect that is, and never ending it is, never failing. No matter what we do or how far we run away from God, he will always love us. And we can't really say that about anybody in our earthly lives at all other than God. So it's just nice to have that comfort in knowing that. I know some of us may go through some difficult seasons or have difficult people in our lives. It's just it's just nice to know that you have God right there loving you always. So as I'm doing the journaling, I'm taking some of the cardstock stickers. I also use some of those hearts. Again, I had applied some of that Nuvo crystal drops to those hearts, and it makes them kind of look like faux enamel shapes, basically. It's just a fun texture, not needed, but I like the look that I get when I add that to those hearts there. I'll have all the products listed down below in the description box, so be sure to check that out if you have questions about any of the products. You can leave your comments and your questions down in the comments below the video. We do check those out. Be sure to head on over to Creative Retreat to sign up and get subscribed to the boxes. You're not going to want to miss these. These are wonderful. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.